Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this video, as you can tell by the title, is my March TBR. So these are books that I want to read in March, and yes, I do know that this video is late and I do apologize for that. February was very busy for me, and then the beginning of March was also very busy for me, involving, online schooling and trying to get all that set up and what was going to go forward with all that. So yes, I do apologize, but I'm doing my best to be consistent here, and I think that's the best thing that we can do in situations like this, is to maintain some consistency and to not freak out over anything. So I'm going to do my best to continue to upload videos as often as I can and as quickly as I can. Now I have a bit more time on my hands because I don't have to go to school, which would take 7 hours out of my day, and then I would usually have an extracurricular activity, after school. Now that I don't have that and I get to stay home and do my classes kinda when I want, my homework kinda when I want, I have a bit more time and I can stay up later and sleep in and do all that. So hopefully I'll be able to complete all these books that I want to read this month. I don't think that should be too difficult. I believe the online schooling is going to go until April, so we'll have quite a bit of time to read and listen to books and that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get on with the video. So the first book that I want to read this month is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the third and final book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I actually really like this series. I really love Siege and Storm, and I hope that I love this one just as much as Siege and Storm. I've already started the book, if you can see right there. It's not great progress, but it's still progress. I'm actually really liking it so far, and like the dark themes that have already been kind of introduced here and in the second book. So hopefully I can finish this within the next week or two, and then I can hopefully get up a review for you guys of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Now the end of Ruin and Rising, that actually leads into my next TBR. That is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo again. This book has gotten raving reviews, and I've really wanted to read it for so long, but I felt it necessary that I read the Shadow and Bone trilogy before I read, Six of Crows. You don't have to do that, but I just felt like that's what, would be best for me. I don't know if this is going to be possible, though, this month, because a lot of stores are closing down, so I might not be able to, go to my local store and buy the book. I might have to order it, and I don't know how stopped up ordering is, so hopefully I can just pick up the book in store or order it within a timely manner. But I don't want to make any promises to you guys. If I don't get the book in time, then I don't get the book in time. But hopefully I finish Ruin and Rising and I get this book in time. And I can't get my hands on a copy of Six of Crows, which has been a book that I've been wanting to read for a really, really, really long time. Everyone has raved about it on BookTube. Everyone loves it. And I've heard that the characters are so well developed, and I love character-driven, narratives and plots. I love that. Plot-driven books, I like, they're just not my favorite. I want to connect almost on a spiritual basis with a character, and I feel like this book is going to do that for me with all six. I believe there are 6 people in it, so yeah, I'm super excited for this book. The next TBR is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and yes, I know I said in my popular series that I haven't read that I didn't want to read this book, but things happen, I guess. I just want to point out, though, that I do really love this cover. It's the special edition for the 75th anniversary cover. I love it. They also did all the Lord of the Rings covers similar to this one. I have actually already started this book, and I just got past the Gollum scene, and I'm liking it so far. I don't know particularly how I feel about the writing style. I do understand this is, not what I'm used to because it is an older book. I don't know, I feel like I'll have to fully read it in order to, form an opinion based off of it. But so far I'm liking it. I should be able to finish this within the month. It's a pretty easy read so far, and I have no idea if I'll be, continuing the series with The Lord of the Rings. Yes, I do understand this is a prequel and The Lord of the Rings came out first, but I wanted to read this one first before I went to Lord of the Rings because it is a prequel. I know, I'm confusing and I apologize. But I don't know, I just felt like that was the way to go for me. And I don't know if I'll read it, but it's also kind of a cult classic, so I might have to. We'll just have to read this one and wait and see. The next book that I want to be reading, or I guess listening to would be a better descriptor, is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. Yes, I know this was another series that I said that I wasn't really that interested in, and my series that I've never read video, but shortly after I immediately contradicted myself. I listened to the first audiobook of The Hunger Games, really enjoyed it, and recently I just finished listening to Catching Fire, and now I feel like I need to complete the series. I'm not too excited about the Mockingjay, if we're being completely honest here, because I've heard that, you know, both in retrospect to the movies and the books, that Mockingjay is not the best. It's the worst of, you know, the three. I liked Hunger Games a lot. I liked Catching Fire as well, but this one I'm kind of iffy on, but I feel like it just needs to be done. I'm still interested in the concept. Maybe I won't be too disappointed, but from what I've heard from like other people, I shouldn't really get my hopes up, I guess. And from watching the movies, I kind of know what to expect, and it's kind of not my favorite thing that happens, but I don't know. I might end up liking it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I'm gonna continue this series by reading the God, what is it called? It's such a weird thing. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't like that title. It's such a long, weird title. I don't think I'm gonna read this one. President Snow, not my favorite character, and I do see what she's trying to do with giving, you know, the bad guy a redemption or whatnot, but I felt like this book could have been reserved for Haymitch. I would have loved to read a book about Haymitch because I love Haymitch so much. Or Finnick. They could have done a book about Finnick and like him growing up and, you know, entering the games when he was only 14. I would have loved to read either of those, but President Snow I'm just not that excited for. So while I will finish out the Hunger Games original trilogy, I'm not going to be continuing with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's just not interesting me unless it's getting like raving reviews and like defying everyone's expectations. Until then, it's a no. And then we have Lovely War by Julie Berry. This book I actually was not interested in at all when it first came out. I thought it was like a historical history type of deal, and then like recently, like a month or so ago, you know, I saw it in the bookstore and I was like, oh, it's actually about low-key mythology in Ares and Aphrodite. And as I've stated before, mythology is like my thing. I love mythology so much. I feel like there needs to be more mythological books. So that actually really interests me. I read the first few chapters in the bookstore and it is so good. My goodness is that book good. Like, I do understand that it is Aphrodite, you know, telling the story to someone, so it's not going to be centered around them. But still, it's just like, it was so good. I didn't want to stop, but I have too many books like on hold right now, like just on my dresser, so I couldn't buy it because then that would have added more, but now I kind of want to buy it because I'm in quarantine. And I feel like that'd be perfect. I don't know, we'll probably just order it. Yeah, I'm reading this book. Like, there's no way around it. This book really interests me. It seems really good. People seem to love it. I think the average rating is like 4.27, which is like spectacular for such a popular book. So I'm really excited about it, and hopefully I get to read it this month. I really want to read it this month. It's kind of been like itching and clawing at me to read it, so hopefully I don't have to wait too long. I just need to get through Moon and Rising and The Hobbit before I feel the need to, you know, pick up another one. And then I'll probably do Six of Crows and Lovely War at the same time. But I have no idea at this point. All I know is that I want to read it. It sounds really interesting. And I apologize for doubting it when it first came out. And Yeah, and yeah, I'm just sorry. That was a huge mistake on my part. I should have honestly picked up this book sooner. Now, this book is kind of like half on my TBR for March and kind of off of it, if that makes sense. It's The Wicked King by Holly Black. I have been waiting for this book to come out in paperback in my store, and it just recently did, and I want to read it. I feel like, though, I should probably finish the Shadow and Bone trilogy and Six of Crows before I do, you know, read a new fantasy series, if that makes sense, because I don't know. I don't feel like I can balance like two YA fantasy series at once. I might be able to, I might try to. I've skimmed the first page or two. It seems pretty good. I heard that this book is actually the best book in the series that Holly Black has done. And if you don't know, it's the sequel to The Cruel Prince. And if you read my review on Goodreads, I wasn't blown away by it. Like, everyone has been raving about this series and The Cruel Prince in particular, and it just didn't do it for me, if that makes sense. But I have also heard that The Wicked King is the best in the series, so hopefully I'll like that. I might end up buying it and trying to read it this month, but I don't think so. I don't know. Like, this one is just one of those where we'll have to play it by ear. I'll buy it when I want to, and I'll read it when I want to, I guess. This one can't really be planned out, so sorry. And then for these next ones, these are actually on Book Outlet, which, if you don't know, is a really cheap website that sells books. So I'm actually thinking about ordering a few books, and then I'll probably do a book haul video in the near future, hopefully. But these are some of the books that are on my wish list for Book Outlet, which is actually linked down in the description below, as well as my Amazon wish list. It's A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I've already briefly talked about this in some of my other videos, so I'll just kind of skim over it. This guy, he can cross over into different versions of London. They're different colors. The only problem is one London, by his mistake, I think actually ends up like almost dying, and he has to try to fix it and all that. I've actually heard really good reviews about this series. I've been really excited to read it. Recently though, my bookstore, they ran out of the copies in it. Like, they have like the other books in the series and the other books by V.E. Schwab, but they don't have the first one. And up until recently, Book Outlet wasn't selling it, but very recently they were, so I'll probably buy it there and order it. And then another book that is on my Book Outlet wish list is And I Darken by Kirsten White. This book, I believe, is a, correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe it's an Ivan the Terrible retelling? Question mark? Now, if you know me, as I've stated in my other videos, I don't really like retellings, but this one I feel like I can make the exception for, because it's not a retelling of like a fairy tale. It's a retelling of, you know, something else. So I feel like that will just sit with me just a bit more, because, you know, those stories haven't been done to death in every way, shape, and form. This book seems really interesting. I've heard that the series is really good in the cover. Oh my goodness. Let's just talk about that cover. It is one of the most beautiful covers that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, that is what has drawn me in. And like, I read the first chapter, and it's good. Like, I can definitely see myself flying through it, because the chapters are so short, which is kind of rare for a YA fantasy book, but I kind of don't mind it. So I can see myself just kind of flying through this book. Hopefully I'll be able to read it in March, but that just depends again on like the first books that I had set up for March. And then finally, the last book that is in my Book Outlet wish list is You by Caroline Kepnes. Again, I've already briefly discussed this one, but this is essentially about a stalker who meets a girl and he gets obsessed with her. It's told in the second person perspective, which is really cool. I really like that aspect. And I recently just finished rewatching both seasons 1 and 2 of You. I like it so much, so I feel like it's about time that I read the book. This is one of my bigger books that is on the list. so I don't know how quickly I can go through it, but I don't think it'll be too hard. I want to get to it this month, but again, it depends on like the other books. But then again, I might also just like read like 5 books at once. I don't know. We'll just have to play it by ear. So yeah, those are all the books that I want to be reading this month in March and listening to. In terms of audiobooks, I'm not so sure what I want to listen to. Those just come randomly. So there might be a few more added to my March wrap-up at the end of the month that I listened to and I didn't read. But in terms of reading, those are the books that I'm really interested in right now and I really want to get to, and hopefully I can. So yeah, to see all my progress and stuff, like when I start to read stuff, go follow me on Goodreads. The link is down in the description below, as well as all my other social media platforms, since it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Those are down below too. It really means a lot. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!